Hi butterfly, welcome back to my channel. In case you're new here, I'm Lydia Stanley, or as I'm fondly called, Mrs. M. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about a topic that is very special to me. Very special. I had a sister named Precious, and this video is dedicated to her. Enjoy watching. Her name was Precious AMARACHI CHUKWUDEBELU, and she was the third of my siblings. So we're 5 kids, 4 girls and a boy, and she was the third. A special fact about us in our house, 4 of us, me, my sister, Favor, Promise, and 4 of us, we're all, and Precious, 4 of us, we're all in August, and our birthdays are from 1st to 5th, like aligned like that, like we're all Leos, and we're all aligned. It's just peace that is in November 15th. So it was crazy growing up because every morning, on August, and my parents' anniversary was on the 1st of August. I've never said this thing on camera before, but yeah. So every morning, in August, from the 1st to the 5th, we'll wake up, sing happy birthday to you, happy birthday to you. The next morning we'll sleep, we'll wake up, we'll sing happy birthday to you. That's how we'll do for everybody from the 1st to the 5th, and it was just crazy. Like, I remember at a point I wished I had my birthday far away because they started to do us group birthdays at some point, because Nigerian households, like, all of you are celebrating your birthday. Let's make one cake for all of you. Meanwhile, I would like my special cake. Thank you. Nah, my parents were great. So Precious was the most airy, amazing personality you would meet. Lydia, this is the early part of the video, don't cry. She would bring so much happiness to the room. She was very... Think of this fairy, is it Tinkerbell? That wherever she goes, her tiny fairy lights illuminates all around her. So you see like this golden sparkle traveling. That's Precious. She was very sweet. Her voice was something very... I remember thinking, how can your voice sound so clear and so nice? First thing, in the morning when everybody's having like groggy voice, like Precious' voice is ready to sing, like a bird. Like, that's something I remember a lot. She's dark like my dad. She's the one that looks the most like my dad amongst all of us, and it's rumored that she looks like one of his actual sisters. So of course she was my dad's favorite, and even though he didn't want to admit it, until her passing, she was studying Afe Babalola and she was studying international relations. Such a brilliant girl. Even while she was sick, she would just come back from a chemotherapy appointment. She would still try to read for her exam. She would still try to go back to school, and her CGPA was still high before she died. She might be talking about something very random, but I want to put it in this video so that even when we have children and grandchildren, I would like them to know what their aunt and great aunt sounded like and looked like. So I'll put pictures of her in this video. Merry Christmas from me and my mommy and my sister. The week has come on.
I know.
She's so beautiful. I love you, darling. I love you so much. Glory. Why are you bringing out your tongue?
My baby boo. Can you see
Hi. Yes, I can. This is my boo boo. No, I'm not doing her snap before, but I love her so much. The first time we found out she was ill was in 2015. So I remember we were in Shiloh then because I schooled in Landmark University. So we're in Shiloh and my mom had called me and told me that Precious felt very ill. And then they carried her to the hospital. So the doctor said they did a scan on her tummy because she was complaining of severe pains there and that they could find tumors. So they cut out the tumors and took the tumors for testing. And those first doctors said that the tumors were benign. Benign means they were not cancerous and they were not going to, change into a cancer in the future. So they did that for her and she was fine for a while. And then again, the pain came back very bad again and they went and cut it out and did testing. This was in 2016 now. And it was cancerous. And thus started her fight and battle against cancer. She was diagnosed with stage 4 ovarian cancer, and the doctor gave her a timeline of when it could have started, and it could have started around the periods when she started seeing her periods. And I remember her always having the most painful periods. She would sometimes even roll on the floor. Meanwhile, me and my other sisters would probably just have regular cramps here and there. The doctor was like, that was the early signs that we could have looked out for. And in Nigeria, it's not normal for us to just go to the doctor, for like regular checkups and stuff. So kept having to go for operations, and Precious went through so much. Precious went through so much, and she was the strongest person I ever knew. Ever. At such a young age of 16, she went through so much. So much. Oh my God. So because her kind of cancer is in the ovaries, and the female hormone is estrogen, and if a lot of estrogen is being produced, the cancers have what's feed them and make them grow even bigger. Around 2016-ish, 2017, she had gone through so many surgeries already, trying to take it out when it grows. Cancer is just very terrible. The tumors just can grow. It's very horrible. Like, it's terrible. So the doctor just advised that we take out, or she takes out her ovaries so that the cancer will not have where to, grow from. Since that was where it came from, like if they are cutting it off, then they will not have any origin to grow in or whatever, something like that. I'm trying to explain it in a very easy way for you to understand. So, and I'm not a medical person, so I can't use medical terms. So she did that operation and she was fine for a while.
Hi.
Hello.
Hello.
Happy Christmas. Merry Christmas.
What's
Yes,
today's
I want
date?
to appreciate God.
25th
Of what?
December.
Which year?
2016.
What are you grateful for on this day?
Yes, for this life that I'm
Life.
holding.
The
The Lord
we thank God for
did
healing
a
her.
wonderful
Don't
work
mind,
on
even though
her.
she's forming, I don't know what she's forming
we
right now.
appreciate God.
God healed her.
By
See how
now we would have
beautiful
been
she
crying
is.
and mourning and they
Yes.
will say 1 year memory.
Yes, so
But God
God
said
forbid.
no.
Yes,
we
so
appreciate God.
Woo!
Give him all the glory. We thank God.
Thank
for
you,
her life.
Jesus.
Thank you, Jesus.
But because of the estrogen not being in her body, in like 2017-ish, she started feeling, she had very terrible heat flashes. So she requested the doctor that the heat flashes are too much because the estrogen regulates temperature in our bodies. That's why when we are younger as girls, we have a lot of it, but as we grow older, towards menopause, it starts to reduce estrogen production. Basically, our reproductive system, like that hormone is a female hormone. It's responsible for everything, your whole development, your boobs, your body. So that starts to deplete, and then you see elderly women having heat flashes. This is supposed to be something that happens later on, right? But she was having it now and she couldn't understand it, she couldn't bear it. It was very terrible for her. So she talked to the doctor, and my mom kept saying the estrogen that was being naturally, produced, we took it out. There's no way giving you synthetic estrogen is going to help. But I guess Precious, what she was feeling was too much for her to bear. She didn't want to hear or reason with my mom. She still insisted that her doctor give her the medicine. So my mom had to approve her taking it because she kept insisting that she wanted to. Because the ovaries weren't there. The ovaries were the point where like the cancers grew out of. Think of like a you know how the ovaries are shaped, so cancers grow out of it. So they cut that off, and these cancers didn't have where to grow out of. So they grew in her tummy, uterus, they grew everywhere, basically her entire abdominal region. Her tummy was so hard all the time. Actually, when she even passed, her tummy was still hard, swollen and hard, like very hard. Not even like someone pregnant. Precious used painkillers to the point where they didn't work for her anymore. They weren't the strongest of painkillers, the strongest. I don't want to call any names of medicine on my channel here, but the strongest of painkillers in injection form were not doing anything for her anymore. And that was how she continued her fight. And at this point now, the doctors just kept recommending chemotherapy. So we started going for a lot of chemo from 2016 till 2017. A lot. Precious. Every 2 weeks she had a session. And the thing is, chemotherapy really takes a toll on you, like the person going through it. Precious, all her hair will fall off, her skin will become so dark, she will lose a lot of weight, she won't be able to stool for days. Chemo kills both the good cells and the bad cells in the stream it's passing. It doesn't know how to differentiate between the good and the bad. And that's why it's very dangerous, because they're just killing and hoping that you will regenerate enough good ones to keep you alive. But they're killing it so that they're just sending that to kill so that it can kill the cancerous ones as well. I remember her after every session, she'll come back, she'll get a tiny bit of relief, and then the cycle starts again. Cycle of pain, intense pain. She couldn't continue school again. And it was very irritating when some very rubbish people in her school, I'm not going to call any names, but you know how girls can like to talk rubbish sometimes, and someone was saying how she dropped her because she was pregnant. Like, you don't know what somebody is actually going through, because Precious did not want pity from anybody. So we didn't even tell nobody about it, so that nobody will be, bringing their unnecessary, unwarranted pity. But even without you knowing, like, can you shut up? Did Precious actually tell you she was pregnant? Like, where did you get that rubbish rumor from? I hope those set of girls get to see this video somehow. You really hurt her. Like, her last days were filled with certain pain that you guys caused. It was not fair. You shouldn't have said those kind of rubbish about her in school. It was very mean of you. Very mean and very unwarranted. So, the final um, battle was in 2018. I remember in January when I had come back, because through 2017, every single time I recorded a video for YouTube, 2017, Precious was in the room with me, because we shared the same room in my father's house. She was always there so that I could administer her medicine or give her painkiller, like, or just keep her company, because we're basically at home. I work from home. I still work from home, so I was the only one that could nurse her. And upon filming, I had to always stop, take breaks, and go and take care of her. And this went on for a while. Then that January period, she had not stood for a long time. Like, I'm talking about like almost a month or 2 months. So it meant that her digestive tract, something was blocking it. She had this in the past, and when they did chemo, it flushed it out, right? But then now when they went to do the test, it was really a lot, and Precious was already very weak. I'm not going to put her pictures where she was very sickly looking on this video, because that's not how I want her to be remembered. But I want you to understand this visual representation. Like, you could count the bones on her neck. You could count the bones like here, on her shoulder. You can clearly see her framework, her skeletal framework. Somebody that was a beautiful chocolate color. Her skin became black. Both the palm of her hands, her entire skin became black. All her beautiful, long, precious hair was the most fullest in our house. Very full, very thick hair. Her head of hair fell off. She was bald. That's why when I see some cancer representations on TV, I'm like, what are people doing? If you want to represent cancer patients, represent them properly, because they don't even go near half of what their physical changes actually become. So she was very sickly at this point, and my mom was saying, if we do another chemo, she has not had time to recover, or she's not recovering as quick. Oh my God, don't cry. She was already very weak from all the medication, and she had not been eating. The doctor gave one kind of diet. One of the doctors, it was terrible. Basically only garlic, onions, fresh tomatoes, ginger, no Maggi, no certain types of fishes, no certain types of meat, a certain type of rice. Like, it was terrible. Low key, and Precious kept, because Precious is a foodie to the core, And she kept craving all this like food. Like if I had known that other diets would still not help anything, let I would have maybe even snuck and given her something or forced my parents to give her the food she wants to eat. Because you just see people online when they say somebody like this guy, off-white guy that passed on from cancer. People are like diet, blah blah blah. They eat well, healthy, vegan, rubbish. Cancer does not respect anything. It is cancer. It goes and starts without any reason. Like if anybody is unlucky, it will start for no. There's no reason. You will just hear somebody during my sister's time when we were going in the hospital had cancer of the intestine, and each time she would go into surgery, they would cut out a piece of her intestine. Like, how do you want to explain that? How do you want to explain that? The best thing is just to hope and pray that nobody has it. But you cannot just jump into because people online like to talk rubbish. That's why I didn't want to even talk about this for the longest time. But I want to talk about it so that it doesn't get to a point where I forget all the tiny details. I want to also be able to watch this video when I'm really old and remember all the tiny details too. So by God's grace, I get old. Anyway, we went to the doctor in KD here, and at this point we had spent so much. Like, it was this little in 2018 that I was going to post online to ask for help. The money we spent on chemo and transport. Flight, road. What did we not do? My parents, my dad will always be the one in the hospital when they travel far away. And in his old age, he'll be sleeping on the floor because most hospitals only provide beds for the the patients. My mom is still working at this time, so she couldn't just leave work for long periods. My mom couldn't leave work because she was working at the time, and my dad had retired. Promise was still in abroad schooling, Peace was in school, and then it was just me and Favor at home. So I had to stay so Favor can go to school. So it was my dad with her most of the times on her chemo trips for like 2 weeks. He'd be sleeping on the floor, and low-key, like, my parents really are MVPs for the way they took care of Precious. Like, it got to a point where, honestly speaking, like, people were asking them how they didn't get tired, because it's not even just the financial toll it took on them. The physical and the mental stress was a lot. Of course, it's our baby girl now. They loved her so much and they really wanted her to be alive, so they had to give it everything they had. Trust me, I know not every parent would have gone all those lengths they did. Anyway, so I'm giving you all those backstories just so you know the point where we were in that 2018 January. So my mom said, okay, let's go to the doctor here in KD and see if he can do anything, because at this point Precious could barely walk. Because I'm bigger, I have strength, I'm strong, so I would always carry her around. Every time we go to the hospital, Nigerian hospitals, the nurses will be looking at us, nobody will bring out stroller. So I have to carry her, or maybe there's only one stroller or two strollers and they've carried somebody with it up. So most times I have to carry her on my back inside. And then we went inside that day. I still have all these videos on my phone. Like, I know I'm crazy, I still have them on my phone. Maybe after this video I will delete them, but I don't think I ever will delete them. Crazy fact, I even still have a picture where she was lying in her coffin. I go back to look at it every now and then. So the doctor tells us that Precious has only, I think he said 2 weeks. So that would make it like maybe around Valentine time she'll pass on, according to what the doctor said. But my mom now, she's like, God forbid. But I could see that my mom kind of knew, because at that time Precious was already looking, like when somebody is already like slowly leaving. So every night I would see my mom crying, praying to God. Lucky, I almost lost my faith though, because if God did not answer to save Precious life with all of our combined prayers, well, I know He's God. I know He has a reason why it happened, and I'm not questioning His will. I surrender to it. So my mom takes Precious and says, no, they're going to her other doctor. They will travel. So they traveled through the night and went. And then the doctor said that there's nothing he can really do, but that let them try chemo. My mom always says that she wished she didn't let them do the chemo. Maybe Precious would have still lived a few more days. But you see how hopeless the situation was. Like, we're hoping for her to live just a few more days. So they gave her the chemo, and then from that chemo, everything in Precious' system shut down. If I go into detail here, I'll just start crying, and I don't want to cry anymore. But everything, like there's a book, I can't remember the name of the book now, that describes how a man dies. Everything died in that pattern. Everything. Everything. Until the brain that was the last. Everything. I'm telling you. It was the most craziest thing. I wasn't there when she passed. It was just my mom that was with her. And my mom's encounter was, she had just put Precious to sleep after bathing her. And then Precious all of a sudden couldn't see. And then she was telling my mom, Mommy, I couldn't see. Mommy, I can't see. Mommy, I can't see. My eyes are getting dim. My mom came and was praying. What else is she going to do? Praying. Till she passed, she didn't regain her eyesight. All of her skin had become very hard to the point where needles couldn't pierce them anymore. There were no veins on the surface of her skin anymore. I'm sorry, I really don't want this to be a very emotional video. I'm trying my best. So, all these veins are closed, right? And when even the one in her leg, like there's a vein they use in the leg, it doesn't work. It didn't work. Then they had to go to the femoral vein, and if you know the femoral vein, it's like the central vein, like from the vagina all the way, like that vein cannot be blocked. It's the central vein, right? And this was where drip was being administered to her. My mom said Precious all of a sudden said her body was wet. And then my mom said, no, did you pee on your body? She said no, she did not pee on her body. She's not seeing at this point. So she said she didn't pee on her body. Of course, it's not smelling like urine. My mom rushes out to call the doctor. The doctor came in, looked at Precious, and went out. Like he couldn't bear to stay there and tell my mom what was happening. Or you know as a medical person that once that vein is blocked, that person is pretty much dead. Like, and that vein got blocked. That was what got blocked, and the drip that was being pushed in was pouring back on Precious. And then at this point, when the doctor left, my mom said she was confused. She didn't know what was happening. So she knelt down to pray, and she held Precious' hand. And then, as she was praying, she felt the wind like very fast. That was how she described it. You know? Looking back, I kind of like looking back, she told me that was the moment her baby left her. So she said Precious' hand fell from hers, and she opened her eyes and tried to wake up. You know how it is now, you've seen it in Nigerian films, what's happening to my mom. So she ran out to call the doctor. The doctor didn't answer because he already knew, because from when that vein thing happened to like when she passed, maybe like 10, 15 minutes, maybe. A short time she had passed. And this was 28th February 2018. And that was the day my sister, Precious, died. So on 1st March, this thing that I'm telling you happened around 11:50 something, like entering into March. So on 1st March, I was like, oh, this month is my dad's birthday month. Let me call them, because like my mom and my dad had left, but my dad had left my mom in the hospital to go somewhere to do something. So it was just my mom there. I called my mom. I'm like, Mommy, Happy New Month, because it was the middle of the night. I don't know. I don't think I've shown that part of me in vlogs, but I like to work at night. So if I'm editing, I edit at night. If I'm arranging, like if things are scattered, like my room is scattered, you know how your room can be very scattered and you say, okay, today I want to tidy this room properly, deep clean my room. I normally would do those things at night. So I was doing that, on that night, Friday, on that night of 28th/1st March. So I called my mom just when it just clocked the new month. And my mom answered. And immediately she answered, she choked a sob. And I'm like, Mommy, what's happening? Like, I didn't think about dying or any of that. Like, in my head all this while, it's like, we'll share testimony. God is too faithful to fail. Precious will recover, she will bounce back, and then we'll be putting her healthy, recovered picture side by side. She told me Precious died. She said, Lily, Precious has died. She told me Precious had died and my dad wasn't there and she didn't know what to do. I remember this song was playing by Dekunle Gold. Ira, Ira, Ira. That song that he sang about his sister that passed away too. Every time that song plays anywhere, I immediately get taken back to that moment when my mom told me Precious just died. Every single time. So the next day, my mom starts to come back. She starts to bring her baby home so that she'll be buried. all through the night. I was so confused. I couldn't sleep. So they traveled through the night and came back, and I remember going to the hospital to meet them. There's this hospital in Kaduna. It's called St. Gerard. And if you know the hospital, it's for like a lot of, like, there's just a lot of bad things there. Like, it has like the best mortuary in KD. A lot of accident victims are always brought there because it's by the road. You know, just kind of like general hospitals. And this will be my first time going there in my life. So I went in and I saw my mom. I saw her standing by the mortuary door. And immediately she saw me, she just fell into my arms. And she started crying. You see, Precious is not here again. She has left us. She's not here again. She has left us. Lily Precious is dead. And I remember thinking how immediately she said that, something in my head just switched when I saw her like that. And I was initially starting to feel the sorrow and the hurt of her dying, like trying to process, because I was in shock through the night. I couldn't process anything. Like, my brain was just blank. I was just staring into the wall and playing that Ire song on repeat. So, low-key, that song brought me some comfort that night, Sha. So, thank you to Adekunle Gold for singing that song. It was a song I didn't know I would need for when my sister died. But now I don't listen to it anymore, because it just makes me very sad. Immediately I heard her, Lydia, stop crying so you can talk. Immediately I saw my mom like that. I just switched. I moved from being confused to being like, okay, I know what I need to do. I need to be strong for my mom. I need to not feel anything so I can help her feel everything she needed to feel. My mom could barely do anything, and my mom is very strong. I've never seen anybody as strong as my mom. I know you might think it's normal to say, but she's very strong. Lydia, stop crying. Oh. I think I want to round up this video because I will keep crying if I keep talking. I'm just going to like touch briefly on everything because I can't give it in depth anymore. But that was just how she passed, and you know, we had to organize for a burial really quickly because she's really young. So we buried her on 3rd March 2018. She passed away on 1st March. That period was very stressful. But my mom couldn't do anything because of how she was in so much grief. So I had to step in. Lucky, that was the first time I really stepped into my firstborn shoes very well, because I had to help print out the flyers, pictures, you know, organize stuff, transport, things like that. So, and then we thought we were going to bury her in KD, but if you know the Igbo culture, it's quite strict, you know, like we're burying our loved ones just anywhere. So they instructed, my dad's kinsmen instructed that they bring her back, especially since she was not married before she died, so she was still an adult of their land, their clan, so she had to be brought back home. That's to the east. So that next, it was so stressful. They came back from the east on Thursday. We had the wake keep on Friday. I might put the clip of the wake keep.
Honor the sins of Precious. As Job did, I knelt down. I say, God, thank you. Nothing can come to a man except it is given to him from above. We thought it's only silver and gold. We thought it's only promotion. we thought it's only healing. Other things can come from above. And unless it is allowed from above, it cannot come to you. So to God be all the glory. To God be all the honor. To God be all the thanksgiving. Because precious is precious in my heart. It's very precious in my heart because it's the only girl that is very strong, very bold, very entertaining, very loving. He cares for everybody on earth. Nobody can annoy him. Her heart is very clear. But he please God to take her. So he will be every glory, honor, and thanksgiving.
And that Saturday morning, we started traveling to the east. And when we got to the east, God took us there safely. And then we buried her Saturday evening, which was 3rd March. We took her into because my dad just built a new house there. And my dad was like, at least she came into my house one time, like she came in, because you know, we never go to the east, so he was like, so she came into his house one time. That moment was very, very traumatizing, to say the least, you know, and I'm grateful to God on how He's helped us heal, because each of us lost her in a different capacity. My sister Peace, her and Peace, Precious and Peace, they were inseparable. They were like twins because they seniored each other with just 1 year. Precious seniors Peace with just 1 year. So they were basically twins. Low-key, I was sometimes jealous of their relationship. So Peace lost her in a very strong capacity. I low-key wonder if she's fully healed from losing her till now. Promise was all the way abroad. So Promise could not even come, like he couldn't see her through her illness. From 2016 to when she passed, he couldn't see her because he was abroad for like 7 years studying medicine. I think he came back only twice or once still. Anyway, so when she died, everything was through the phone. Like he always video call her through her illnesses, chemo, all of that. And then when she died, we were telling him through the phone that she had died. So I'm sure it was very hard on him. And then my sister Favor, I thought she was too young to understand the death, but she understood it pretty well, and she was very sad. Very sad. My dad, he took her death the hardest. The first time I saw my dad cry ever in my life was during her wakekeep while he was giving his speech. She really was a special child, like very special. You know those kinds that God is like, if I leave this one here for too long, she's too sweet, you guys won't be able to handle the sweetness. Let me just give you small and then take her back for myself. That's how I like to think about it. All through my journey in life, I didn't understand death, or I didn't understand when people died, it's like, oh, sorry. And I only knew old people dying. I didn't know any young person die, you know? So everything was just very shocking that period. I won't lie. I became so sad. Somehow I even missed all the stress I was doing when she was alive, when I would have to care for her. I was missing that because it's like, so what purpose do I have? Oh my God. So, yeah. I'm speaking to my children now in the future. If you're watching this, you had an aunt. Her name was Precious. Her name was Precious AMARACHI CHUKWUDEBELU. She would have been the most amazing aunt to you, and you would have loved her so much. I just want to end this video by saying, if you're a girl or guy and you're going through stuff, please don't Google it. Go to the hospital. As girls, try to go for regular checkups. Try to check your ovaries, your reproductive system, your vag. try to go for cervical cancer tests, your pap smears. Try to just do checkups regularly, because the human body is very complex and it's something that cannot be understood, to be honest. Scientists now and doctors, everybody is trying, but you cannot fully understand the human body, that is the complexity that is the human body. So just go do regular checks. Maybe if we had found out the cancer when it was in stage 1 or stage 2 before reaching the critical stage of stage 4, maybe pressure would have still been alive till date. So that's my advice for you. If you can do checkups, please do regularly. And this Coco cartoon where it's like, once your living relatives on earth forget you completely, once there's somebody that remembers you, you'll be forgotten in the afterlife. Somehow that really resonated with me, that cartoon. So I'm going to try to keep Precious alive as much as I can. She has a shade, a very special shade named in my palette after her. Like, I literally crushed pearls in that shade, Precious, in my Lydia Stanley palette. I don't have it close to me right now, but that shade was very special to me to create for her. And that's just how she is. That's how standout she is. Sparkly. If you've seen that shade in person, if you've not seen it, this is your cue to go and buy you one. It's just 5,000 naira. But if you have seen it, you know the shade I'm talking about, and that was for her. So if you see me name anything Precious, or I get excited when you see me see stuff that's named Precious, or you see my new brand I'm working on, you see anything named Precious, anything, because her name was also AMARACHI, it's a remembrance of her, and you understand why it means, how much it means to me. Thank you so much for watching and hearing my sister's story. I've wanted to do this for the longest time, but like I said, today is 3 years exactly since she passed, and I'm still crying this much. Imagine how it would have been if I tried to record like, a month, 2 months, 1 year after she passed. So rest in peace, my love. We love you so much, and we miss you. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I hope I didn't make you too sad. I just want this video to be out there for me to the future, I'm going to see you in my next video. Bye.